Welcome to the most forward-thinking, inspirational podcast in this reality. The show designed to challenge everything we've been taught. If you've ever felt there had to be more to life, more to existence, then you're listening to the right podcast. Time to open your mind and dive in. This is the Mental Mastery Alliance podcast.
And here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Mental Mastery Alliance podcast. Today is, I think, wait for it, that's May 16th today. Ain't that something? We've made it all the way to May, and our last show was April 26th. It's been busy. We've been busy. We went to, well, I went to, the royal we. I don't know what we did. I do know what we did. We got a bit of a hiatus, a bit of a break. The creative team took a paid vacation, and good for them. But I went to a beautiful wedding. My neighbor got married, and it was down in the Dominican Republic. The first time I'd ever been in that country. I quite like it. It was gorgeous. Gorgeous. And I don't know, everybody's got these complaints. If you listen to anyone talk about anything, all you're ever going to hear is complaints. Nobody really takes a moment to say something nice. It's so weird. If you like something and appreciate something, for the most part, 90% of the world just wants more of it and almost feels entitled to it. Like, it's a strange thing. People only chirp up when things are terrible. And you know who chirps up the most? People who wear masks while they drive alone in their car. That's who chirps up the most. The wedding was beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. The following week, I did a trip up to Ottawa. I've thrown my neck out somehow in the whole midst of it all. So I've been in a copious amount of pain the past, I want to say, easily 5 days, certainly 7 or 8. It's been compounding my poor little neck. But that's neither here nor there. Or is it? I don't know. It's a weird thing, man. I've pinched my neck before and I've run it down my back, and we've all had that weird, where your neck is like super awkward and stiff. This particular case, I've pinched my neck and it's running down my right arm to my elbow. And it is excruciatingly painful, but like in the nerve of my nerves. It's wild. I'm in a little bit of pain right now. But again, I hadn't recorded in a long time and I wanted to knock one out, fire one off, get it out there. And I wanted to talk about a few things. I just laughed. I opened the set with talking about people who drive their cars wearing face masks. I remember when this whole thing went down and I was basically ostracized. I wasn't allowed to have opinions. I wasn't allowed to say things. My Instagram was shuttered or certainly shadow banned, heavily shadow banned. And you look at all these people worried about cancel culture, and I've been canceled. I've been attacked. I've been called all kinds of names by all kinds of beautiful people. You know who called me the names the most? Everyone preaching inclusivity. Everyone. But the thing is, if you want to be part of the inclusivity tribe, you have to only preach what they tell you to preach. The inclusivity does not count if you disagree with anything that they have to say, which I found out the hard way. But, however you want to put it, however you want to spin it. And I remember when it first happened, when I first got canceled, I was like, this is ridiculous. I'm just getting started. Nah. And it was like a pivot or a switch or a change. And this is right at the beginning. I guess cancel culture and douchebags have been going on for a long time. But there was a pivot and a flip. Like, I was a douchebag for a very long portion of my life, and I'll say that. And at no point did I ever worry about being canceled, but I was a prick. I was filled with self-loathing, and because of that, I broadcasted it. I put out into the world what I felt about myself. And that was douchebaggery. And the funny thing is, I know a lot of people like me who are now on the other side, but the douchebaggery still exists. And the funny thing about it is, every single person that, you know, the pink hairs and the over the top piercings and the liberals, you know, not to put any labels on anything, but certainly the people that want to aggressively be a victim. They want to be a victim. I think that when you sort of look at these people as not so much individuals, but as Jesus, my brain. This is part of the pain going through my head here. I'm losing words. They're falling out of my mouth. I don't even know what they are. When you don't view them as individuals, but you view them as a group, and you view them as a conglomerate, you view them as a mass, you realize that they aren't saying things that they want to say. They're saying things that are part of the mass culture. When you set them aside individually, they'll yell, scream, kick, and all that sort of stuff. And I'm not talking, again, I'm not talking about people. Real people don't do this. But people that are programmed to believe a certain thing and then defend it to the death are. So the douchebag that was in me before was me being an automaton, me being uniquely my own, or so I thought, and me being against everything. And that made me an asshole. Well, actually, what made me an asshole was the words I chose to use and the way I chose to say them. If I'm in pain, you're in pain. This was a mentality when I was younger, 100%. And I own it. I apologize to anyone who needs to hear an apology from me, but I apologize to me. I apologize to the younger version of me that needed to be that way. And again, you know, you think about Don Miguel Ruiz, you think about, you know, 4 agreements, take nothing personally. I just talked about that a couple episodes ago. When you take nothing personally, anyone that I may have offended with my douchebaggery, don't take it personally. It had nothing to do with you. You just happened to be in front of me while I was melting down on the inside. To which I'm sorry. I apologize for that. And I own it, and I learned from it, and I'm a completely changed individual. There's no part of me that would even want to hang out with me 10 years ago. And that's a weird thing. I'd ask him some questions, and I'd probably drop some baseball stats on him so he could play some bets. But aside from that, I don't want to have anything to do with it. And in doing so, I understood where the douchebaggery came from. I understood the whole dichotomy of douchebaggery. Dichotomy of douchebaggery. You know what? I'm going to actually make that the title of this episode. The dichotomy of douchebaggery. That's hilarious. When you see the group now be douchebags, it's almost like they could believe a certain thing and they could calm down about it and they could be like, okay, this is nah. But it's not about that. It's about, I've been oppressed my whole life and now you need to be oppressed and now you need to not be comfortable. And this is a mission statement that's been put into their heads. This is a division tactic that's been put into their heads. This is a distraction that's been put into their heads. And they verbalize it. Now, it's also a reality to these either NPCs or people in the beginning of finding their way. I don't know. Like I said, I could never go back to being a douchebag again. But there are a group of people, namely the people that I'm speaking of right now, that would probably believe me to be a douchebag, and they would probably take this personally. This is a personal affront to my situation. I can't believe that people still want to take things personally in this day and age, other than the fact that they absolutely don't know who they are without being the victim of somebody else's words. When you take your power back, you don't need that shit. And for me, watching it play out the way it is right now, I see certain things that fall in line with who I was. Now, is it possible that these pink-hairs, and I'm sorry if that's a derogatory term. I don't think it is. I think it's just people with pink hair, blue hair, green hair, pink hairs, whatever. You know the type. They usually work at the Apple store. These people have this overwhelming sense of if you look quasi-normal, then you're the bad guy. Now they also have the vote, the liberal vote. And for the longest time they had the liberal voice. And I think that's changing now. Where the absurdity, like the inmates can no longer run the asylum, but it needs to go on like this a little bit further. It needs to carry on the way it is. Because if it didn't, then the division tactics wouldn't necessarily fall into line. The other division tactics. I mean, the whole purpose of this, especially in Canada and North America, is to destroy the middle class. So you have you trick a group of people into being a victim. You change the food that they eat. You inject them with vaccines and random stuff. You tell them that it's absolutely normal, and you watch the numbers of pink-hairs grow. What does that mean? It's going to be offensive to anyone that doesn't want to look outside their own paradigm. But it's also a fascinating thing because now this goes back to cancel culture. There was a time where I would have been absolutely mortified to say these things, even though they are my opinion. They are actually, you know what? I'm going to see if I go ahead and press this button right here. Yeah.
Disclaimer. If you're going to soundbite any of this podcast, you must soundbite it in its entirety for consistency and context.
Exactly. There was a time where I would have been worried about being canceled about this and saying these things and having these opinions and voicing these opinions and how dare I. But the truth is you can't be canceled. You can't be canceled in this day and age because every single person that would be offended by what I'm saying isn't buying my products. They don't want to be better. They don't want self-help. They don't want to be anything other than a perpetual victim. They want to look at shows like me and they want to attack me. The next time I get canceled, you're going to see a mob of people say a bunch of things, but you know what that is? That's internet engagement. Internet engagement. You're actually benefiting me by shitting on me. Because what I noticed the last time I got canceled and they really put the gears to my Instagram account was, hey man, this is a position where people are like, oh, well, if he's spreading fake news, I want to know what he's saying because all the real news is trash. And if you're going to put a warning up on this account, I want to know what it's all about. So no, in today's day and age, once we've driven past cancel culture, you can't be canceled. You can't be canceled. All that happens is your audience shifts. The people that need to find you will find you. And the people that need to shit on you will distance themselves. But you can't be worried about speaking your opinion, saying your 2 cents, doing whatever it is that you want to do. As long as you're operating with integrity and you're true to your word, you can do anything. That's the thing. Holding yourself accountable for your own actions and being integral with what you do, say, act, be, all that sort of stuff. That's the difference between, somebody who just simply wants to complain and somebody who wants to do better in life. So if all of these pink-hairs get mad at me for making this statement and making these comments, and they decide to flood the internet with, oh, to hell with the Mental Mastery Alliance, well, you're going to understand that all of the other people that I'm actually talking to are going to see them reacting to it and go, hey, this guy's onto something. So it's actually promotion. And that's one of the most beautiful things in the world. When you get past the idea of quote unquote cancel culture, you get past the idea that somebody may be upset with you and they may turn you down or shut you away. Every single aspect of everything that we do, if you're true to yourself and you operate with integrity, the universe will help. And it can appear like being canceled. Imagine a mob of terrible pink-hairs decided to attack me. Now, I'm sure there's wonderful pink-hairs in there as well that are just like, I don't know what to do with my hands. I'm sure there's wonderful people caught up in the movement. And me, just a regular old guy from the year 1996, now I'm public enemy number one. My opinions, my views are archaic. How dare I want a family with Christian values? And I don't mean Christian as in a deep-rooted Catholicism background. Wow, my brain is really tweaked. I'm talking about a man and a woman getting together, enjoying the fruits of their labor, fighting against a system that's trying to destroy the middle class, fighting against a system that's mandating diversity over quality. We live in a world where everyone can be whatever they want. And as soon as we stop saying it's me against you, it's black against white, it's pink-haired against normie or whatever the hell it is, we can say things like, we're all being tricked. We're all being manipulated. We're all being twisted. We're all being taxed to death. Every last one of us is losing everything while we fight each other over which bathroom to use. When you really break it down, that's ridiculous. And do you really think that these people are that organized? I don't think so. I don't think that any of us are that organized. I don't think that anyone is as organized as the news makes it out to be. I think that the majority of us just watch a story or listen to a podcast or hear something and say, you know what? It's all of them against me. That ain't the case, B. It's you observing you. Now, what does that mean for us and for the division tactic and for the final fight and all this sort of stuff and what's going on? I don't know, man. I really don't know what it means, but I do know that, in Canada we have I want to say a 66% capital gains tax now, which is preventing people from selling their houses. We have companies like BlackRock buying up all the big houses because the mortgage rates have gone through the roof. The bank mortgage rates, if you need a mortgage, you're paying an arm and a leg and a anal sphincter to get a mortgage. The housing of prices, the pricing of houses is coming down, but the mortgage rates are going up. So who benefits? Anyone that doesn't need a mortgage. That's who benefits. Capital gains. There was a deal where you could sell your primary residence that you've had forever and move to a smaller spot and pull out half of your equity. If you sold for 1.5 in Toronto, you could buy a beautiful brand new build for $750,000 in a town like Ottawa. And now the capital gain 66%. You lose it. They just arbitrarily said, "Oh yeah, we've changed the rules on you, by the way." So this is you're witnessing the destruction of the middle class. The intentional destruction of the middle class. We're taxed to death. We're taxed to death on absolutely everything. And what do we do about it? We fight over which washroom we can use. We fight over who's got pinker hair. We fight over gender equality. Blah. What happened to morals? What happened to all of us standing up for each other? What happened to shaking your neighbor's hand? And I'll tell you this, when we run out of everything, and that's where the middle class are headed, who's got your back when you need a cup of sugar? Your neighbor does. And not the government, not anybody else. Not the news. It's your neighbor. It's the person that's physically close to you. It's your family. It's your friends. It's your team. And you're going to turn on them? You're going to turn on your team because of something that a goddamn news said? I've lost friends over this. Friends that I thought I'd have for the rest of my life. And you know what? Maybe in 5-10 years, they'll come back around. And I'll still be the same dude, talking the same shit, having the same laugh, and they'll have changed. But at no point are you supposed to worry about what they say, think, or do. All you're supposed to do is operate with integrity and check out your options. In Canada specifically, we live in a world right now where so many people are struggling financially to the point where we don't even have enough time to really argue about pink hairs anymore. We don't, they're putting up a fight, but the majority of the humans who are relatively normal, who are like, whatever, man, just use whatever bathroom you want. I got to figure out how to pay these bills. This is what's really happening. This is the story that isn't making the news. The fact that Canada is being ushered and pushed into the poorhouse. I know so many people right now that are broke, like, for lack of a better term, broke. And this is the first time in humanity the first time in modern history where an entire country is broke because of the government. The government is killing us. And here I sound like a crazy lunatic. Oh, the government is so bad. Blah, 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 blah. Right? But think about it. We're so pre-programmed to believe that the government's good that even what I'm saying sounds bad. The definition of anarchy is without government. And yet we believe it's total chaos because those who control the media, those who control the information, control everything. We sit and we bitch and we moan and we piss and we fight and all this sort of stuff. But there's this undertone, this underlying stat that really caught my attention. Since the first time since the 1940s, alcohol, primarily beer and wine sales in Canada are lower than they were in the 40s. And what that tells me is that people are, it's not that they're trying to save money, it's that they're understanding certain values. Like, we're being fucking played. We're being played. We're being tricked into drinking. We're being tricked into smoking the government marijuana that's got all the pesticides inside it that's killing us. We're being tricked into vaping, which is basically killing the front layer of your eyeball. To those who are vaping, look into this if you haven't already. It's the vape that passes out of your mouth and in your car or whatever, and it gets into your eyeball. It's literally disintegrating your top layer of protection in your eyeball. Can you imagine there's going to be a ton of people in the future that have gone bald? Oh, damn it. I vaped until I had no hair. That have gone blind from vaping. An intentional cigarette substitute that was then marketed to an entirely new generation who never smoked cigarettes at all. They just wanted this cool, healthy vape that they could blow smoke out of. Wild. Absolutely asinine and wild. There are people out there that can be manipulated into absolutely anything. And you have to be one of those people for you to say enough is enough. And then you step up and then you understand. There are people who are still manipulated, and there are people who are breaking free from the manipulation. And if you ask me, we are on a roll when it comes to those who are quote unquote waking up, those who are seeing things, those who are doing things, and those who are properly discerning. So this whole situation that we're in right now, it's fascinating. Because what happens? What happens when we all go broke? Right. And a lot of people are sitting there too right now. Like, I'm in a position that I've never been in before. You know, what are my friends and family going to think? Like, I'm practically chapter 11. You know, I'm less than paycheck to paycheck. I'm defaulting on some of my bills. I've never been in this spot before. I'm going to lose this. I'm going to lose that. When you're cowardice and when you're weak like that, things change. You operate and function differently. But what can you do? I mean, man, I'm not suggesting anyone do this, but people are selling farts in jars on the internet. So there's chaos out there, right? And also, if you're in Canada and you're having these troubles and you have this luxury or opportunity, you can leave. And when you leave Canada, everything makes a little bit more sense in all of the quote unquote third world countries. Canada, the United States, right now, we're being decimated. Britain, Australia, all of these first world countries, we're being fucking decimated with bullshit. We're being inundated with bullshit to the point where we're not even allowed to think properly. We are being flooded so much with such tripe that we don't even understand how to properly deduce what's going on in and around ourselves, how we think, how we feel. None of it. Because we're too afraid to either offend or to do anything, to get arrested, whatever the hell it is. As much as we don't want to live in a state of fear, we are living in a state of fear. When you function in a state of fear, things change. And I've said 1,000 times over, this whole system is designed to, you know, they always say, follow the money, follow the money. I don't believe it. I believe the powers that be created the money. I believe that this is a fear system. I believe that they're not after your money, they're after your fear. They invented money to make you hunt it instead of hunting who you are. That's a whole other show. But money is not the root of all evil. The desire for it is, and it's false. Because at no point did it ever actually mean anything. And that's coming truer more and more and more right now, where anyone can change anything. Anyone can up this and change the rates. And you and me, I don't care if you got pink hair. I don't care if you're black, yellow, white. I don't care if you've got one leg. I don't care if you got 10 legs. All I know is all of us are taking it dry jam up the ass right now by the very people who are pitting you against me. I'm open to have a discussion with anybody about anything at any time, and there will never be any angst or anger in my voice. I may use sarcasm from time to time in the conversation, but I speak from a place of understanding, compassion, and purity. I speak with integrity, and I don't speak with the intent to attack, harm, or prove that I'm right, because I'm not right. I just have views. I've seen some shit. If the rest of us could get on that page, the whole game could change. Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't already, head over to the mentalmasteryalliance.com. Take a look around, see if you like anything that we're offering, if you want to podcast, if you want to talk about stuff. If you've got anything on your mind, send us a DM over at instagram.com/the Mental Mastery Alliance. If you want to send a text and have your text read out on the show, if you're an Apple user, we are now Apple friendly. 647-338-1265. That is obviously iMessage, Apple to Apple. You can text us. If we like your message, we'll read it out. If it's funny, fantastic. You can call that number and leave a voicemail as well. There are no long distance charges apply. If you are an Apple user, that's Apple to Apple. We do have Android as well. We run both systems over here. But if you're an Apple user and you want to connect with us, iMessage 647-338-1265. 1265. I'd love to hear from some of you guys about some of the shit. A simple text message, what you're going through. Maybe we'll get a bunch of those and I'll put them out there. But if you listen to the show, if you love the show, please share this show. Our numbers are going up. We're doing really well. I'm super happy about it. But if there's more people that we can help, or if there's more things that we can do, this is what we want to do. We want to help. We want to help change people's perspectives. We want to help change people's views. We want to help anybody in any way that we can, because we deserve it. We, the people, fucking deserve it. And I am on everyone's team. Everyone, except for those bastards that are pitting us against each other. Ladies and gentlemen, in the infamous words of Red Green, keep your stick on the ice.
We really hope you enjoyed this episode of the Mental Mastery Alliance podcast. Stay connected with us directly through the mentalmasteryalliance.com. You can also join the discussion on Instagram at instagram.com/the Mental Mastery Alliance. Let the team know you're listening by using the hashtag TMMA or tagging us at the Mental Mastery Alliance. To have your voice heard on the show, leave a voicemail or send a text to 647-338-1265. Long distance charges may apply. If you love us, leave us a review. If you hate us, you spend your time in weird ways, but also leave a review. Every review on iTunes tickles the algorithm, helping us grow. Until next time, unity over division. This concludes the most surreal portion of your day.
You got it, Pontiac.